Hey everyone, welcome to another episode from Ampro Engineering. This will be another installment of the Buyer's Guide series, and for this Buyer's Guide series, I'm going to focus on this car, the Tamiya Boomerang. Oh wait, hang on a minute, no, I'm wrong, I'm sorry. This is the four-wheel drive Super Turbo Tyco Dune Buggy. The reason I made that slight mistake and called it a Tamiya Boomerang is because, yeah, they looked at the Tamiya Boomerang and went, that's what we want. Make that smaller, and there you have it. There are some differences. The front shock towers look like they've been pulled directly off of a Tamiya Bigwig. In fact, even these scoops look like just two versions of the one scoop that's on the Tamiya Bigwig. Right down to your yellow front shocks. You got some decal coming off right there. There we go. The car looks, at least in my book, I think it looks fantastic. It's very aerodynamic, very swoopy. It's a very pretty car. I like the color scheme. They even had this in white, which made it look even more like a Boomerang. This is the 49 megahertz version of this. We do have these two little spotlights, which Tyco was always incredibly good at making. They look fantastic. There's your power indicator right there. This car's in remarkably good shape. There is some scrapage here, but man, a little bit in the corners. This thing was hardly driven. You can even tell these tires look practically new. It's always hard for me to believe that someone in the 1980s could have gotten one of these cars and never used it. It's very strange. The car is operational, so we will get to see this thing driving around. What's neat is that it is a dual motor setup. Here you've got your slow and your fast speed, so it does have a two different speeds on this gearbox, as well as rear differential and front differential. I suspect that the open diffs would help this car perform on an on-road surface as well as a hard-packed dirt surface, which is most likely where this thing would have been run. It does have independent front suspension, although they're not very good. As you apply a load to the front tire, this arm tends to bend a little bit, which locks the spring. They're kind of stiff. Probably some graphite powder would help immensely in here. I may have to do that before I run this. At the rear springs are really good. They feel very nice. It does have a double wishbone front suspension. The axle housing here is plastic, and it looks like there's a ball joint. This is nice. There is a ball joint right there that holds the top and the bottom arm to that axle. Because it's double wishbone, we have, oh my God, let's do this side. There you go. We have no camber gain and we have no bump steer. That is pretty remarkable given the fact that other cars like the Tamiya Hornet, the Midnight Pumpkin, pretty much every single Tamiya from 1978 until now does this. So pretty good. I have to admit, that's pretty well done. This is a pre-9.6V car, and what that means is if we open up the battery door, we have space for 8 AA's. Now let's fast forward a couple of years to this car. Now they may look cosmetically different, but if we flip this guy around, we can see that the gearboxes are identical, save for the gear selector is molded a different color. We have the same wheels, same tires, same wheelbase, same Nerf bars. They're the same chassis. Flipping this over, we can see that there's one major difference. They modified the mold on this car to accept the 9.6V battery here, which was a major selling point for these cars. Prior to that, parents had to shell out money for individual rechargeable NiCads or, worse yet, alkaline batteries. In this case here, you slap one of these in there and it'll recharge 2,000 times. So that was a major down point of this car here. With that said, let's throw some batteries in it. These batteries are really tightly held in there. Just a side note that if I ran this on the alkaline batteries, you would see a significant speed boost because these are not only lower voltage than NiCads, but they're significantly lower voltage than the 1.5 volt alkaline batteries. Not a problem that you have with this because they were designed for 9.6 volts. Let's power the car on. This is a turbo car. Very, very important selling point for these things. Hit our power switch and the light indicator should come on, which it hasn't. Let's flip that over. Here's another issue with something this old is dirty contacts. I see it flashing. Again, another issue you would never have had with the 9.6V car. Now we're working. Okay, cool. I'm sure they'll shut off the minute I put it on the ground. Let's go ahead and turn left and right. Love it. There's low. There's high. Oh, you know what? I know why it's not doing that. Hang on. I bet you it requires... Yeah, very annoying. Very common trait of these older cars where you had to be accelerating or reversing in order to get steering. This was just how it was then. I don't know why. It's possible that the steering servo got power only when the vehicle was under load. Perhaps it was some kind of cost-cutting measure on the PCB. I don't know, but that's very common. Let's accelerate again. This is in high gear. Oh. Okay, very common as well. The car will drop to its low speed on the radio. Remember, this is low and that's high. It'll drop into its low speed when turning, most likely for control. I don't have particularly high hopes for this car's speed, but let's take it outside and give her a run and see what we have. And here we are. So the car is in slow speed. That is in slow. My is it. Okay, let's go into turbo. Let's go into turbo now. That is a considerable change. Now remember that when I turn, the car goes out of turbo mode and slows down, which massively improves steering radius. But this is really boring, so let's put it in fast. GPS is on, reset to 0, and let's take off in slow. Make a U-turn. I will say that this car's got a fantastic turning radius. Let's get some distance and punch it. It's really smooth. And we've got 18 kph, faster than I thought it was going to go. And that is down from 12 volts, which this car was capable of running. So we've lost quite a bit of speed because I'm not going to put in alkaline batteries. But really the question is, do you want one? For the collector, especially someone who's into the Tamiya Boomerang or Hotshot or really that four-wheel drive series, I probably would say yes, especially if you're into the Boomerang. I mean, look at this car. It's basically a Boomerang. It looks fantastic. The color scheme is out of this world. and they're not particularly sought after, so you can get your hands on one of these for relatively little. Park it on your shelf right next to your matching boomerang. If you're out there for that nostalgia field, perhaps you just like cars from the 1980s, then again, you can get one of these for fairly little money. I would say a nice operational one for around $100. Again, that's right now at the filming of this video. And I think it will give you a very appropriate feel of the late 80s, early 90s, although I believe that one of these guys here, which we'll do a video on those next, would be better off given the fact that it does have that 9.6V battery. If you had one as a kid, absolutely go get one. It seems that the white ones are quite a lot harder to find, and that's odd because usually the 49 band ones are harder to find, but perhaps I'm just not looking on eBay at the right times. Things to look out for on these cars, I would say, is going to be rotted tires. You know, they're not getting any younger. The plastics are very hard, and that kind of leads me back to the people looking for one of these to just drive around and bash, and this is a terrible idea. It really doesn't jump well at all. I mean, I would even say that a curb is probably too high for it. These plastics are very, very old. They're just going to get more and more brittle. But the car is a good example of a vehicle to slap on some oil-filled shocks and an upgraded dual motors and an upgraded ESC. In fact, I believe the LED wheel did that to one of these, and this is a really good car to do that to because it has everything that you would want to upgrade. Should be upgraded pretty darn easy. I would say that the hardest part on that would be to remove the wheels, if you need to remove the wheels, of course. Other than that, it should be a pretty easy job. But again, it's not a new car. It's definitely very, very old, and it feels it. So I hope you liked this video. I've been just going through a number of cars that I've been meaning to do videos on, and this car has probably been in a tub for around 5 years, and it deserved to get a little bit of airtime. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.